I just, I am hesitant to talk about the sports television business because I'll be honest, I don't know how much our fan base or folks care about it.
It's inside baseball.
It is, you know what I mean? It's like inside. It's you turn on the TV, you either like the announcers or you don't. You turn on the TV, and some people don't notice the difference or care about the difference in quality of broadcasts, graphics and things. I know you do, Mike. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if
most people don't care.
But when Tom Brady's involved, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's different. And Tom Brady has put in paperwork to become a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, and we know that's been the case for a while. And last year, Brady was in line to call games, but took the year off because he signed a massive deal worth $37.5 million a year, reportedly, to call games for Fox Sports. Greg Olson, who is the reigning Emmy Award winner for Best Game Analyst, he's been terrific in that role with Kevin Burkhardt as the lead play-by-play team and announce team for the NFL on Fox. Terrific listen, terrific watch. Brady's now in with Burkhardt, and Greg Olson is going to be doing games with Joe Davis, who's been killing it with all these Ohtani moments the last couple of weeks, by the way.
Last night was incredible.
Right.
His dog threw out the first pitch.
I know. Good old decoy. Sweet dog. And then, of course, he just one-hands a home run in his first at-bat on bobblehead night. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. And so with Brady calling games and also seeking to be a part owner in the NFL, Seth Wickersham of ESPN put out a story on ESPN.com last night that the NFL, in its latest membership meeting, brought up the Brady petition to become an owner of the Raiders. They did not still entertain whether or not to approve it, but did bring up Brady rules that will be put in place for him to call games on Fox, because to call games professionally, you have meetings with both teams beforehand. And teams frequently, definitely pre-COVID, would have you physically into the facility. You would go visit the teams. And John Madden was one of the first announcers to say, I want to see practice too. And that's been part and parcel of certainly the top broadcast teams' way of going about their business is to physically walk into the facility of the teams that they're going to cover. Certainly the home team, because they're going to go to the game early enough to go visit the home team. And if it's possible, visit the road team. Face-to-face meetings with the coach, quarterback, and other players. Again, when I call these games internationally and locally here too, I'm part of this. Because we're the broadcast team of a national game, we're asking for the quarterback. We're asking for the star players on both sides of the ball. We're asking for the coach. And very frequently, we get them. And we meet with them. And they're very honest. They're on-the-record conversations. And sometimes they ask to say, this is not suitable for broadcast, and give you something. And the quarterbacks, because I sit with Kurt in these meetings, when the quarterbacks talk with Kurt, I feel like I need to be hooked on phonics. Like, it's a different language that they talk. And it's great to see. It's great to sit there as a fly on the wall and hear these X's and O's talking, and the quarterbacks are very honest about the situation. When Brady was the quarterback in our production meeting in Munich, he was really honest about how the offense was struggling and the way that the practices were going weren't to his liking, and he was wondering about the way the practices were set up and things of that nature. And it was wild, man. And the league is apparently saying, if Brady is going to call these games and become an owner of the Raiders, this is what Seth Wickersham wrote, that he's not allowed to set foot in someone else's facility. He is not allowed to talk to anybody on the teams. He is not allowed to be part of any of these broadcast meetings at all because he's an owner of the Raiders. And, you know, the Raiders might want to pick his brain. Now, that is kind of, to be honest, insulting to Brady that he might actually utilize his platform with Fox as to be sort of a mole for the Raiders. Like he would put the Fox team that he now calls his new colleagues in jeopardy by not being the lead analyst for the team, but actually to be a mole for the Raiders. And you know who doesn't care about that? I'm sure the owners of the Chiefs and the Broncos and the Chargers and anybody else who's playing the Raiders, they're not going to take the chance. And this is a highly secretive, very paranoid league, the National Football League. And here's the crazy thing, because as you know, Brady is not yet an owner, partial owner of the Raiders. Rob Monty of the Associated Press reported today that these rules are in place now because he's petitioning to be an owner of the Raiders. So as long as these papers are in to try and be an owner, they're already placing these rules on him now, which is a major handicap to Brady's ability to do the job to the best of his ability. So I honestly don't know what the answer is to all this. But this is wild. I've never heard of anything quite like, well, I shouldn't say that. When Greg Olson called a game while he was a member still of playing in the league,
Yep.
he wasn't allowed to talk to the other teams. He wasn't allowed to visit a facility. And just in case anybody's wondering about how, you know, is this an outlier or not? Does the NFL, is it just trying to punish Brady or whatever, for whatever reason you might have? When NFL Network first started, we had a campaign for NFL Total Access that people still talk to me about today because it really was very well done.
Great. Yeah.
It was the song by Traffic, Dear Mr. Fantasy. Yep. And they placed me in my suit and tie in all of these NFL situations as if I'm sitting in these rooms. I was sitting in a meeting room with Mike Vick and Dan Reeves. Okay, I went underneath the hood with an official, and I gave the sign. I'm like, I can't tell whether this is a good call or not. Yeah. I went ring shopping, watch shopping with Deuce McAllister of the Saints. Yeah. They put me in all these situations, right? And it was fun. And the tagline was, being rich doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Because it was for Total Access. Here I am. I'm giving you the access on NFL Total Access. And this commercial was showing you all these moments. Well, when we shot that scene in the film room in Atlanta with Vic and Dan Reeves, we were legitimately in the actual film room in Atlanta. Like, I flew to Georgia for that shot. And on that same day, for whatever reason, they shot the shot of me firing off footballs through a jugs machine to Torrey Holt of the Rams. They shot that scene there in Atlanta as well. They made Torrey Holt, the Falcons did, sit in it. They had to get a trailer for Torrey Holt specifically for him. And the trailer was outside of the Flowery Branch, Georgia property of the Falcons. He wasn't even allowed in. The trailer wasn't even allowed on the property. They didn't want him to even see the practice field, what it looked like. Because he was a Ram. And they were in the same division. This was before, back in the day when the Falcons were in that cockamamie idea that the Falcons were in the West. And so was St. Louis.
Yes.
Okay? And so they were division rivals. The Falcons were like, he doesn't set foot. Like, fine, you can shoot it. There's this grassy area that's far away where he can't even see any of our practice fields. We'll let you shoot it there. Because I guess he was in Atlanta and he was in the area. But setting foot in the facility, seeing the inside of the facility, they didn't care. Like, go. I said to myself, the trailer, I assume, has a bathroom. Because they're going to just make him go in the woods? They wouldn't let him inside.
Great. Oof.
This is the way it has been forever. So I don't know. Is Brady going to have to choose? Because this is not an optimum way to call games.
No, and start his broadcast career, which is arguably the most anticipated we've ever seen in the business.
Right.
Yeah.
This is kind of it's not surprising, but it's stunning.
Yeah.
Because the AP is saying this is happening now.
Pretty stunning.
So he can't talk to Stefanski. He can't talk to Deshaun Watson or Myles Garrett. Fox can, and maybe give him the notes. This is what we gleaned. But Zooming with him, or even Zooming, he can't Zoom with him. He can't have contact with. Oh, and he also can't denigrate officiating.
Right.
Because if you're an owner in the NFL, you are not allowed to publicly criticize officials.
He'd be fined. He'd be subject to penalties.
So, like, if it's how many times you see calls that, are rightfully questioned in a broadcast? Are they going to let it slide a little bit? So if Brady doesn't go all in on something that you're like, why wouldn't the lead analyst call what we're seeing, be blunt about it? He can't. He can't.
In a weird way, it's very similar to coaches not criticizing other coaches on all these shows.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a fraternity, right? But that's different. You're the lead analyst or Fox. Like, what in the NFC Championship game, he's in the booth, and something similar happens with no pass interference, like with the Rams and the Saints. He's not going to say that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I'd imagine Fox would cover the fine, right?
It's not a fine. He's an all, like, what, the fine for the NFL to Brady?
Yeah.
I don't know, pal.
I mean, we've seen Mark Cuban rack up all these fines over the years.
Do you know when you're a partner of the National Football League, you know what you say most of the time? Thank you, may I have another? You do not ruffle the feathers of 345 Park Avenue.
I get it.
Well, especially when they might reopen the television contracts in a couple of years. There's a memory. I am shooting you as straight as I possibly can.
I get it. And also, it's Tom Brady.
This is wild. I read that and I'm like, wow. Okay.
Why would he want to do it then?
I don't know. Because I think he digs the idea of doing it. And I think by the way, in terms of how good he can be,
he's going to be amazing.
I will just say this. And then we'll do our NFC West predictions before O'Shea comes out here. I will say this. The best, and by the way, did I say that Romo was going to be good at it when I first heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The best analysts are the ones who not only know the game cold, okay? The best analysts are the ones who can put themselves from their experiences into the analysis. I did this. I did that. I remember when this happened to me. How many analysts can bring the following to the equation? 1, overlooked in the draft. 2, had to wait a year. 3, got the opportunity to start out of the blue. 4, made the most of that opportunity. 5, was questioned whether you should have had the opportunity to begin with. 6, got the opportunity and took the team all the way to the AFC Championship game only to get hurt to have the veteran who you had supplanted take the team to the Super Bowl. 7, then get the job in the Super Bowl and win it. Then, hold on a second, then win 3 out of 4 in your first 4 seasons. Not make the playoffs after making the Super Bowl. Winning 2 in a row. Going for 3 in a row. You think that might be some valuable insight, going for 3 in a row? And what happens when you're going for a three-peat this year? You think that might be valuable? Oh, wait a minute. Getting your knee blown out. Yeah. Getting hurt. Coming back from a knee injury. Winning early in your career. Becoming as famous as you could possibly get out of the blue. How to handle fame. Then going 10 years not winning one. Losing Super Bowls in heartbreaking fashion. Going an entire season undefeated. Wait a minute. Then winning 3 out of 4 again. Winning 1 Super Bowl out of the blue. Winning the Super Bowl that goes into overtime for the first time ever. Coming back in a Super Bowl 28-3. Oh, wait a minute. We're not done yet. Then later in your career, you play as a 40-year-old. What's that like? Wait a minute, You then switch teams after having a great 20-year run. Then you switch teams and win a Super Bowl in your first year there. Oh, and also playing for one of the greatest coaches of all time. Who can do all of that? There's one unicorn. Now, you've just got to be able to get in and out of snaps and get the broadcasting part down, and he strikes me as somebody who's going to figure that one out. So I hope this stuff gets figured out, because, my God, can he bring all of this to the table? Crying on draft day. Get out of here. On and on and on. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.